The Big Bang Theory's Bernadette might be tiny, but she is far from meek. Her tiny frame and high-pitched voice might make her seem unthreatening at first, but one wrong move and you'll quickly learn the truth.
The tow truck didn't scratch your car.
How do you know?
'Cause I did it!
Though she started her time on the show as a minor character, once she was permanently added to the main cast, Bernadette got to let loose and share her entire personality. And it turned out that a big part of that personality was being pretty bossy.
I know I can be tough, but that's just because I'm surrounded by useless idiots.
But instead of making her hated, her willingness to stand up for herself and speak her mind actually made her beloved, both on the show and in real life. And while her attitude could occasionally cause some problems, it was also what allowed her to build her dream life and help out her friends. So let's take a deeper look at where Bernadette's attitude comes from and how she learned to use her mean girl powers for good. Bernadette's personality is a bit of a contradiction that the other characters don't at first expect, and sometimes still get surprised by even once they do know her well. She's a very sweet and caring person and a great friend, but she can also be harsh and loves being in control.
It was like a whole other universe. If I wanted to, I could wipe it out with my thumb like a god.
She's also kind of split between the worlds of the show. When we first meet her, she works at the Cheesecake Factory with Penny and seems to be more of a Penny type, but we come to learn that she's also a brainiac. She's waitressing to pay for her graduate degree in microbiology. Because of this, she's the one character on the show that really understands both social spheres on the show, how normal, everyday people interact, and how the nerds think and process things. This gives her the ability to meet everyone where they're at and connect with them on their level. Bernadette is not afraid to go after what she wants, whether it's something seemingly trivial or a major life milestone. After working her butt off to pay her way through university, she knows that she doesn't want to have to worry about money ever again. So she gets a job that is, well, a little ethically questionable, but definitely pulls in the big bucks.
Don't go into science for the money.
Speak for yourself. Last month, my company both invented and cured restless eye syndrome. Ka-ching, you blinky chumps!
She also thinks that she knows what's best for everyone else, too, and to be fair, she's not always wrong, but her friends do often start to feel like she's a bit intense when it comes to having things her way.
Have you ever gone into a steel cage with a wolverine?
Faster, faster, faster! Do you not know that word?
While Bernadette is generally a great friend and girlfriend, there's no denying that she has a bit of a mean streak. She can be passive-aggressive and sometimes just straight-up aggressive-aggressive and isn't afraid of confrontation, in fact, sometimes even seeking it out. Her friends are even kind of afraid of her because they know if they slip up, she's gonna rain down fire.
Could you do me a favor and not tell Bernadette how badly I blew this interview? She'll get upset, and honestly, I'm a little terrified of her.
But Bernadette clearly isn't a bad person or a true mean girl, so what is it that drives the more abrasive side of her personality? A big part of the more intense side of Bernadette's personality comes from the fact that she's got a pretty major case of oldest child syndrome. She's the firstborn of 6 kids, and given that her parents were often gone, that meant that she was usually the one left dealing with the struggle of raising her 5 younger siblings. Having to essentially become a surrogate mother at such a young age was incredibly draining and meant that Bernadette had to grow up quickly and develop an air of authority to keep everything in her life in order. Being the oldest child, especially if you're left with the responsibility of caring for your younger siblings, can have long-lasting effects on your personality. As Very Well Mind notes, firstborn children are usually characterized as responsible, type A personalities who are often drawn to leadership-type roles in the family and in their lives. And when you spend your whole childhood having to manage and make decisions for those around you, it can be hard to shake that habit when you grow into an adult.
Sheldon, Leonard, living room right now!
Very Well Mind explains the child may continue to view relationships as areas where they are an authority figure, which may create conflicts in future relationships during adulthood. This is pretty much exactly what happened to Bernadette. She had to be the confident decision maker and responsible party for her siblings, and so now, as an adult, she attempts to do the same thing for her adult friends and her husband.
2 weeks ago, I was an astronaut.
Yeah, well, now you're a smurf. Keep walking.
But Bernadette isn't just a little controlling, she's also not always so nice in how she goes about it, but that actually stems from her childhood as well. While her parents were often distant and detached when they were around, they had a big impact on her. Her mother was incredibly overbearing.
That's
That's nothing. I couldn't ride a bicycle because my mother was afraid I'd hit a bump and lose my virginity.
So on top of the stress of having to raise her siblings, Bernadette also had to deal with her mother trying to control her every move. Her mother also pushed her beauty pageants, where she had to learn to hide her displeasure behind a smile.
And you should pick me for Miss California Quiznos 1999 because I want to tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Given all of that, it's not surprising that in adulthood, Bernadette really wanted to assert her agency and individuality and make sure that no one was going to tell her what to do or how to be anymore. The reason this can sometimes come out in a rather mean manner is likely due to her father's bad temper. She had to live in fear of him blowing up at any moment about anything and likely absorbed some of that behavior herself.
If he's shouting at you, you're okay. But if he starts to get real quiet, leave as quickly as you can without making eye contact. Not in a straight line. Throw some zigs and zags in there.
All of these facets of her childhood converged to create a pretty prickly side to her personality as a grown-up. Because she spent so much of her childhood always having to be on and in charge, she can find it hard to tone down the intensity in adulthood.
I'm nice to everyone!
She's always willing to put her foot down in any situation and make sure things go the way she wants.
Well, it's simple. This was my idea. I'm driving. I'm Cinderella. You bitches got a problem with that? We could stop the car right now.
This pushiness also bleeds into how she can be prone to bossing other people around and telling them how they should live their lives. Sometimes this can actually be the helpful push her friends need, we'll get to that in a moment, but other times it can be a bit much. Bernadette's tendency to mother those around her is also a big part of her relationship with Howard. He's got a pretty, close relationship with his own mother and has a hard time getting free from her orbit.
I'd love for things between me and Mom to get back to normal.
Well, normal's a strong word, but sure.
So it makes sense that he falls for Bernadette, who doesn't admonish him for his more childish behavior, but instead leans into it.
We're very different people, Howard, so communication's a little tricky. Does he want the pancakes? He didn't try them yet!
She helps him make decisions and pretty much all of the care work while he plays video games with his friends. She's also the breadwinner in the relationship, which, in addition to her being the only one of the two with a PhD, can at times make Howard feel a bit emasculated, but is also what allows him to live the life he enjoys.
I love that I work and do all the cleaning, and you're okay with that.
See, I am. Isn't this great?
But Bernadette is different from his mother in that she doesn't just coddle him. She also pushes him to go after what he wants in life, whether that be finally moving out of his mother's house or postponing their wedding to go to space. She's also not afraid to call him out when he's being a little too childish or trying to put off a big life goal out of fear.
My arm is feeling numb.
That's the wrong arm for a heart attack, doofus.
Another major reason for Bernadette's attitude towards life and those around her is just the reality of her being. She's a teeny tiny adorable lady with a super high-pitched voice. If she wasn't ultra confident and ready to snap at anyone who gets in her way, no one would ever take her seriously. If she doesn't want to get steamrolled by society, she has to assert herself in a way that no one can second guess.
Hey, I learned a long time ago when you're 4'11" and eye level with every guy's crotch, that's where you punch.
As the show goes on, she also has to deal with new stressors. In addition to her high-powered job and caring for her husband, she also ends up having 2 children.
And I carried it, had to stay in bed for 4 months, sacrifice my body and my job, and soon it's gonna burst its way out of me like the Kool-Aid Man.
At first, she's not really interested in having kids, which makes sense given her upbringing, but she eventually is excited about it and happy to have them. But loving your children doesn't change the fact that raising them can be exhausting at times. Bernadette's personality might have gotten turned up a bit over the seasons for laughs, but she also grew as a person with the help of her friends. While Bernadette's friends might be a little afraid of her, they also love her and are a big part of her ability to grow as a person. Penny, in particular, is a large part of this. She and Bernadette had been friends since before we met them on the show. They both worked together at the Cheesecake Factory, and so their long-term bond means that Penny is both able to put up with Bernadette's ways and push back on them when she gets to be a little too much. When Penny realizes how mean Bernadette has been to her boss and how afraid of her he is, she's open with Bernadette about how she comes across and that it's not great. And instead of getting angry, Bernadette takes what Penny says to heart and apologizes.
Just want you to know I didn't mean to be rude about your grandson.
No, it's okay.
No, it's not. Penny told me that everyone's scared of me.
And this goes both ways. Bernadette uses her skills to help her friends, too. She's always there for them and to remind them that they deserve it to stand up for themselves.
What if they don't listen to me?
Then you be really mean to them? Have I taught you nothing?
At her core, she's a kind, loyal, and outgoing person, and the fact that she's multidimensional means that she's able to be there in different ways for different people, even if she can be a little scary when she does it. While the rest of the group might knock Penny for not being as book smart as them or for not having her life together, Bernadette is always there to push her to believe in herself and fight for what she deserves.
That's not an offer. Do you know how amazing this girl is?
Oh, you think I'm amazing?
Stay out of this.
Bernadette and Amy have a bit more of a competitive friendship.
Gosh, Amy, I'm sensing a little hostility. Is it maybe because, like Sheldon's work, your sex life is also theoretical?
But they bond over their shared love of science and general similarities and develop a closeness that's able to overcome any tiff. Bernadette has a particularly special friendship with Sheldon. As we talked about in our video on him, Sheldon often finds it hard to really connect with others or to figure out what the best course of action is in social situations. But because Bernadette is so used to dealing with other people's quirks, she has no problem understanding him and standing up for him.
Sheldon doesn't know when he's being mean because the part of his brain that should know is getting a wedgie from the rest of his brain.
From helping him overcome his fear of birds to just making sure he takes care of himself, Bernadette uses her ability to understand both the nerdy and social worlds to assist him, and also sometimes to just make him do the right thing when he's being extra stubborn.
So march in there, brush your teeth, and go to bed.
But I don't want to go to bed.
I'm gonna count to 3. 1.
Oh, all right.
While her relationship with Howard hits a few snags over the seasons, they clearly care for one another and provide a level of understanding to one another that they don't get anywhere else. She helps him grow into a more independent adult and finally move out of his mother's house, and lets him know that while she will take care of him, she won't let him turn her into just another mother or forget that she's a real catch.
The past is the past, but he should know that I am the kind of girl who could get all the giant missiles she wants.
They aren't always great with communication, but he does learn over time to consider her needs and to be willing to put her first, too, which helps them develop a loving and equal relationship.
Oh, I love you too. If I don't talk to you before you go to sleep, I'll meet you in dreamland.
In the end, while she might occasionally get a little scary, Bernadette was an important addition to the group. She brought a level of confidence that no one, except Sheldon, had, and used her lack of fear to help push everyone towards their goals. She was also always there to stand up for people when they were at their lowest and didn't feel like they could stand up for themselves.
You better find my husband's mother, because one way or another, we're walking out of this airport with a dead woman.
She might not have ever totally overcome her oldest child syndrome, but she did find ways to use it for good instead of just personal gain. And it's through that combination of personal growth and self-determination that she was able to build a happy life for herself, where she had everything she wanted, and the agency to make choices for herself, while also having other people in her life that she knew she could fall back on.
Every one of you has the capacity to be anything you want to be.
Unless you want to be Cinderella.
Come at me, see what happens.
The Big Bang Theory's Sheldon Cooper isn't just a smart guy. He's pretty much the smartest guy, at least as far as he's concerned.
Don't you think if I were wrong, I'd know it?
While he is incredibly book smart, there are other parts of life that he definitely doesn't get. His oversized ego and belief that his opinion is the only one that matters can make him pretty tiring to be around. But he also has a deeper, more caring side that he's able to let out with the help of his friends. Sheldon's story is the perfect example of why emotional intelligence is an important part of a happy life, even if you think your book smarts are more than enough.
I always listen to myself. It's one of the great joys of my life.
Let's take a deeper look at Sheldon's story and how he grew from a self-centered smart guy that scares away everyone in his life into a self-centered smart guy whose life is filled with deep connections.
This honor doesn't just belong to me. I wouldn't be up here if it weren't for some very important people in my life.
Sheldon Cooper isn't just your regular smart guy. He was a literal child prodigy and started college at only 11 years old. He taught as a visiting professor at the Heidelberg Institute in Germany at only 15, and got his first PhD at only 16. Being aware of and secure in his great capacity for absorbing knowledge and thinking constructively about physics from such an early age gave Sheldon a supreme level of confidence in his own smarts. He not only never questions himself, he thinks he's always the most correct, and possibly one of the smartest people to ever live. His superiority complex developed early, with him coming to the conclusion that he was clearly better than his siblings because they weren't as smart as he was.
I'm exceedingly smart. I graduated college at 14. While my brother was getting an STD, I was getting a PhD.
But his nerdy nature also led to some problems. His father wanted him to be into more stereotypically male things like football, instead of Star Trek and comic books. And kids at school often bullied him, both because of his nerd status and his better-than-everyone attitude. Sheldon never really had much of a strong interest in human connection. His focus was always on science and discovery. On Young Sheldon, the Big Bang Theory prequel focused on his childhood, we see that Sheldon did on occasion learn important life lessons and seem to grow as a person. But the Sheldon we meet in the first season of The Big Bang Theory seems to have possibly regressed a bit in that regard.
Please email it to sheldon@bazinga.biz. Why.biz? Because I just gave you the business. And also bazinga.com was taken.
This actually isn't a total surprise. Sheldon went through a lot in the years between the era of young Sheldon and the point we're introduced to him in the first episode of The Big Bang Theory. He continued on focusing solely on his academic career, and so never got to be a normal kid or teen. He essentially jumped straight from being a smart baby to a tiny adult. Because he had such immense success in this one specific area of life, he never really felt the need to branch out or work on other facets of himself. So, Sheldon's arrested development when it comes to emotional intelligence actually makes a lot of sense.
You may not realize it, but I have difficulty navigating certain aspects of daily life. Understanding sarcasm, feigning interest in others, not talking about trains as much as I want to.
Because he's always been so knowledgeable about his areas of interest, he thinks he's right about everything. This can lead to him being quite stubborn, demanding, and even rude pretty regularly. He wants to be in control because, as far as he's concerned, he is the only person that can make the right decisions, even though that often isn't the case. He sees himself as more logical than everyone else, even though he has his own fair share of illogical thought patterns, like his refusal to sit anywhere on the couch other than his spot. Though, of course, he always feels like he has a logical explanation for everything.
The fact is, it wouldn't kill us to meet some new people.
For the record, it could kill us to meet new people. They could be murderers or the carriers of unusual pathogens. And I'm not insane. My mother had me tested.
Sheldon also thinks he should always win in every situation, even in things that should be fairly split, like his roommate agreement with Leonard, which Sheldon somehow manages to always tip in his favor. The show itself even makes fun of this trait when the friends find the One Ring prop from The Lord of the Rings, and Sheldon immediately decides that he must have it, and spends the entire rest of the episode on a journey to steal it away from the others. Because he never really had to learn how to get along with others, he can be quite difficult to be around. He scared away all of his roommates before Leonard, and puts people down all the time, even his friends.
Oh, big deal. Not knowing is part of the fun.
Not knowing's part of the fun. Was that the motto of your community college?
But his attitude provides challenges for him, too. He doesn't understand many social interactions and often doesn't pick up on jokes. And just generally has a pretty hard time with the human nature part of being a human. Many fans noted during the show's run that all of Sheldon's traits, from his savant status to his difficulty understanding social interactions to his sensory issues and more, all seem to point to him possibly being on the autism spectrum. And while this was apparently never intended by the show's creators, and they've always stayed away from explicitly labeling him, they didn't have a problem with his fans connecting with the character in that way. In a conversation with NPR, Jim Parsons noted, "I think the writers really celebrate those traits. I think it's such an original reaction to see the world through a filter like that, to look at the world through those eyes." And Mayim Bialik, who plays Sheldon's eventual wife Amy, has said that though Sheldon was never explicitly labeled as being on the spectrum, the show's main intent was to show a positive representation of people who share his traits.
This is a group of people who likely were teased, mocked, told that they will never be appreciated or loved, and we have a group of people who have successful careers, active social lives that involve things like Dungeons and Dragons and video games, but they also have relationships, and that's a fulfilling and satisfying life, and I think that's what we really try and show on our show.
And it's really this that makes Sheldon such a special character. The show doesn't force him to change who he is, but importantly does allow him to grow while still being true to himself, and not having to iron out his quirks. And while Sheldon might have already known everything about physics, he had a lot to learn about being a friend. Sheldon's singular focus on himself and his own interests can make it hard for him to connect with others. And even his friends can have a hard time handling his attitude.
I did a bad thing.
Does it affect me?
No.
And suffer in silence.
As much as they love him, it can be grating to constantly get talked down to. He puts down Penny for not being book smart, bullies Howard for only being an engineer and not having a PhD, and even disrespects Amy's accomplishments for not being as important as his. But instead of just shunning him for being annoying, his friends try to get through to him and allow him to see their side of things. By opening himself up to learning new things in the realm of social interactions, Sheldon gets the opportunity to expand his world, from dating to figuring out sarcasm.
This is why I've been saying we should keep champagne on ice.
Sarcasm?
Yes.
That was tricky, because when it comes to alcohol, she generally means business.
While Sheldon might not always be the most community-focused person, he does have moments where his ability to care for others shines through. When he was a kid, he attempted to build a nuclear reactor to give his entire city electricity for free, and only failed because he was stopped by the government. And in adulthood, he begins to mature emotionally by developing deeper relationships with his friends. For as much as he makes fun of Penny, the pair clearly have a connection from early on. They might not totally get everything about one another, but they're always there for each other in their own way.
Why are you crying?
Because I'm stupid!
Well, that's no reason to cry. One cries because one is sad. For example, I cry because others are stupid and it makes me sad.
In the same way that Penny provides the audience a more relatable connection into this world of super smart people, she also supplies a similar kind of connection for Sheldon, giving him insight into how average people think. And even if she does sometimes find him annoying, she never makes him feel bad for being who he is or feeling how he feels.
It's easier around people that I'm comfortable with.
Oh, sweetie, I'm comfortable around you too.
Of course you are. I'm warm and soothing. I'm like a human bowl of tomato soup.
He's also willing to help her out in big ways, letting her borrow money and not being concerned about getting it back, and even overcoming his fear of driving to take her to the hospital when she dislocated her shoulder, and then singing her to sleep. Another major relationship that helps Sheldon grow is of course the one with his friend, girlfriend, and eventual wife, Amy. Through their relationship, he learns the value of both emotional and physical intimacy. Initially, he's not particularly interested in or even seemingly aware of the latter.
May I ask you a question before I give it to you?
Of course.
Now, why are we saying give it to you like that?
But when he learns how important it is to Amy, he goes for it and they figure out a situation that works for both of them. Amy also importantly is able to push back on Sheldon's more intense self-centered tendencies in a way that actually gets through to him. For example, when Sheldon becomes totally unbearable when he's ill, everyone in his life attempts to avoid him. Amy leaves for a conference, and his friends all attempt to take a trip to Las Vegas without him. At first, he feels like he's the victim, but Amy kindly but honestly gets him to understand that he was really the one being mean to everyone else. Instead of shutting down or continuing to complain, he accepts that she's right and goes on a full-blown apology tour with commemorative shirts and everything. While he might initially think he doesn't need anyone but himself, as the show goes on, Sheldon does come to appreciate his friends and their place in his life, even if he isn't always the best at showing it. And in return, they continue to help him flourish. He had always been pretty anti-birthday due to a bad experience as a child, where his sister tricked him into waiting all day for Batman to show up. His friends, wanting to help him move past his childhood trauma, decide to throw him an awesome birthday party so he can see how loved he truly is. Even when he's overcome with anxiety and has to flee the party, Penny is there for him and reminds him that everyone likes him for who he is.
Sweetie, you are weird. Everyone knows you're weird, but they're all still here because they care about you so much.
And with Amy, he not only gets the love of his life, but the achievement of his life as well when they win the Nobel Prize for their work. In his acceptance speech, we see how much Sheldon has really grown, and importantly, so does he. He finally fully recognizes how important everyone in his life is to him, and how they've helped him become the person he is.
I have been encouraged, sustained, inspired, and tolerated, not only by my wife, but by the greatest group of friends anyone ever had.
Sheldon was always a smart person, but it's his friends that helped him grow to become a caring person. And it's through that shift in mindset that he's not only able to better connect with others.
No, it's okay. What?
When I lost my own father, I didn't have any friends to help me through it. You do.
But also create a happy, fulfilling life for himself. Sheldon's story is the perfect illustration of how life can become so much richer by combining our own special skills with those of others around us. Even when you think you're perfect, your life can still be improved by fostering connections with the people that care about you.
There's no denying I have feelings for you that can't be explained in any other way. I briefly considered that I had a brain parasite, but that seems even more far-fetched. The only conclusion was love.
The concept of the dumb blonde has long been a trope in film and television.
I'm a mouse. Duh.
But some of media's most notable blondes have been the ones that subvert and expand upon this tired archetype.
What, like it's hard?
And while The Big Bang Theory may have initially established Penny as the hot, odd one out of the brainiac group of main characters, a deeper look at this beloved blonde quickly proves that she is way more than just her good looks.
See a penny, pick her up, and all the day you'll have good luck.
No, you won't.
Let's take a look at what made Penny so much more than a stereotypical dumb blonde, and uncover how her intricate character evolution provided the emotional glue necessary to keep one of TV's most iconic sitcoms together.
Oh, hi.
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 On first glance, Penny appears as a surface-level hot girl next door character. The entirety of the season's pilot revolves around Sheldon, Leonard, and the rest of the crew ogling over Penny's looks and trying to gain her trust in order to sleep with her.
So she's available for coitus?
Can we please just stop saying coitus?
While she may initially seem like a shallow side character that's only going to serve as a prop for the male characters to interact with, Kaylee Cuoco's performance starts to bring a new, more interesting depth to the character and begins shaking up this archetype that has long been simplified for laughs.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people think I'm a water sign.
From the moment we meet Penny, she makes us care about her, which is a true testament to the strength of Cuoco's performance. It's clear that while the show may want to play up her looks as a gag, there is a true kindness to Penny that shines through these sexist tropes.
You're so terrific.
Despite being the only female character in the show's main cast for its first 3 seasons, Cuoco held her own against her male counterparts, elevating Penny from a forgettable ditzy blonde to a hilarious and endearing screen stealer. Chuck Lorre, creator of The Big Bang Theory, expressed regret at this initial lack of character depth. In Jessica Radloff's 2022 book, taking a behind-the-scenes look at the series, Lorre stated, "It was really obvious immediately that we hadn't developed the character beyond the pretty girl next door. And Kaylee was certainly capable of doing a great deal more than what was asked of her. We had to make the character more fully realized." And while her good looks and ditzy demeanor continued to be a focal point of her character, over time the show began to sexualize Penny less, instead giving her character a sharp wit that wasn't afraid to call out the men she surrounded herself with.
You sign anything she puts in front of you because you are the luckiest man alive. If you let her go, there is no way you can find anyone else. Speaking on behalf of all women, it is not going to happen. We had a meeting.
With this came her eventual decision to give up her acting career in season 8, which, while shocking to some viewers, showed just how much agency the show had given her. She had been stuck in an endless cycle of financial upset and stagnation for years, making this decision not only a stable one, but a mature one key to her character growth.
Decent? I make twice what you make.
Wait, twice?
After being belittled by the group for her lack of intellect for years, for once, Penny has the upper hand, and while she may not be viewed as a total equal, this career change showed the gang that there are valuable skills to be found outside of pure book smarts. While Penny's lack of book smarts may set her apart from the rest of the main crew, she still makes an effort to understand and support her friends' nerdy interests.
When Darth Vader struck down Obi-Wan, did Luke cry like a baby and go to his funeral?
No, he blew up the Death Star. Why do I know this?
Time after time, she shows how much she cares for her friends, wanting the best for them, even though they can be more than a little difficult at times.
I know more about dating than you, and if you were as smart as you think you are, you would listen to me.
If you know so much, how come I have a date tonight and you have nothing better to do than drive me to it?
And although her on-again, off-again relationship with Leonard may be her most memorable relationship on the show, it is Penny's friendship with Sheldon that is arguably the most touching friendship on the entire show.
Oh, sweetie, you just made my day.
Okay.
Leonard and Amy care deeply for Sheldon, but often patronize him and treat him like a child. Penny is quick to call out Sheldon when he's being, well, Sheldon, but she still speaks to him like a real adult person.
Sheldon, I know this wasn't easy for you, and I'm really glad we could have this conversation.
Over time, they develop a true brother-sister relationship, often bickering and getting on each other's nerves, but with a deep sense of care and respect for one another. This is possible because Penny is genuinely kind. She loves Sheldon, and through this genuine connection is able to bring out the most vulnerable parts of him.
Thank you for letting me stay here.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetie.
Okay, I'm sleepy now. Get out.
Yes, Penny may be a hot blonde, but she's so much more than just a pretty face. In fact, she's the glue that keeps the group together.
You see, in the winter, that seat is close enough to the radiator so that he's warm, yet not so close that he sweats.
It's safe to say that the majority of the Big Bang Theory's audience are not quantum physicists.
MA equals MG.
Squared?
No.
Aristotle?
No.
5?
Sheldon, Leonard, Howard, Amy, and Raj may be hilarious in their own right, but they're not necessarily relatable. Penny, on the other hand, is a much more average, everyday character that much of the audience can more easily see themselves in.
I suppose if someone could teach sign language to Coco the gorilla, I could teach you some rudimentary physics.
Great! It's a little insulting, but great!
Her struggles in dating, career, and simply keeping herself afloat are much more identifiable to most of us than the more lofty troubles the others have to contend with, like Howard's lack of a PhD. In fact, the series was only greenlit after Cuoco was cast as Penny due to a pilot that failed to connect with wider audiences. Even Cuoco noticed how her role quickly won audiences over, telling Emmy magazine, "Viewers were on her side from day one because she was always kind. She laughed with them, not at them. She was always part of the group." This type of character certainly isn't unique to The Big Bang Theory. Most popular sitcoms are designed around a straight man or audience mirror to balance out the absurdity of the characters surrounding them. But rarely is the straight man played by the hot one, especially a woman. Leonard may be the typical sitcom straight man, and all of the characters are relatable in their own ways, but it's surprisingly Penny who the show uses to connect us to this world. Now, that's not to say that everyone wholly relates to Penny, but she works as our surrogate in this world of above-it-all brainiacs to bring them, and thus the show as a whole, back down to earth. Every character has something special about them that draws audience members to them, but Penny provides an anchor that keeps things rooted in reality. Yes, unfortunately, Penny is often sexualized and has her average Joe intellect played for laughs, but without her perspective, the show wouldn't work. While she carries great empathy for the guys, she is also unafraid to call them out when their smarts get in the way of their social skills, or even basic kindness, often saying what many regular viewers themselves likely would in the same situation.
How do you know these things?
I go outside and I talk to people.
But even though Penny isn't afraid to serve up her fair share of roasts, her deep empathy towards her friends extends itself to the audience's perception of these characters as well. Even though Raj is unable to speak to Penny for a majority of the show's early seasons, she still makes an effort to talk to and interact with him out of sheer kindness and understanding of his social awkwardness. In fact, her continual engagement with him is the reason why he ends up overcoming this trait.
You're talking to me.
I am. And I'm crying for a whole different reason.
And while Penny and Amy did not start off on the best foot, by the end of the series, the two develop a true friendship, with Penny becoming Amy's first best friend and encouraging her growth.
Sheldon Cooper, I've got a bone to pick with you, and I'm about to do it in front of all your friends.
Yeah, you pick that bone. You pick that bone clean.
Her unwavering support of her friends does not go unnoticed, serving as one of the main catalysts for their own character developments. It's impossible to talk about Penny without discussing her on and off relationship with Leonard.
What about me?
What about you what?
What about if you went out with me?
While Sheldon and Amy eventually took the spotlight, Leonard and Penny's endless will-they-won't-they romance served as one of the series' main dramatic questions for its first few seasons. Although the hot girl falling for the nerdy nice guy trope can feel a bit cliche, it is touching to watch Penny fall for and eventually marry Leonard.
What did you mean when you said you were going to miss me?
I don't know. You'll be gone and I'll notice.
Their relationship is nowhere near perfect, but it operates as a major catalyst for Penny's character development. She begins the show as a young 20-something struggling with severe commitment issues, wasting her kindness on men that don't care about her in return. But it's Leonard who shows her what it means to be truly loved.
God, what is wrong with me?
Nothing, you're perfect.
I'm not perfect.
Yes, you are.
Yes, their romance has severe ups and downs, with some fans even calling it toxic, but dealing with and overcoming these obstacles is key to their character development. By working together and always being there for one another, they reach a new level of maturity and emotional growth. Despite generally being a fan-favorite relationship, Big Bang Theory fans had some major complaints about the end of Penny's storyline, particularly her unexpected pregnancy. Throughout the series, Penny was adamant about her desire to not have children, so the reveal of her pregnancy was shocking, to say the least.
What I meant was, what if we didn't have kids?
Ever?
I mean, our life is so great. Why would we want to change that?
The representation of on-screen female characters who don't want children is already minimal, making this decision feel like a significant stripping of agency from a woman who was confident in her stance. Also, viewers don't even see Penny discover that she's pregnant, instead learning about it briefly and then finding out more when she's forced to tell Sheldon. It's disappointing that such a pivotal moment for this character is played for pure comedic relief, glossing over the emotional weight of this decision completely. Even Cuoco has expressed regret at this plot choice. In the behind-the-scenes Big Bang Theory book, she said, "I actually wish that they did not make Penny pregnant because I loved that message of Penny not wanting kids so much." While her choice to become a mother could have been impactful if executed correctly, the series' failure to add nuance and agency to her sudden decision fails an otherwise strong and self-assured character. But despite how unsatisfactory this part of her ending may feel, Penny remains one of the biggest highlights of the Big Bang Theory. What started as a surface-level iteration of the dumb blonde trope quickly transformed into a witty, honest, and kind woman elevated by Cuoco's masterclass comedic performance.
Well, then good news. Today's the day a girl's finally gonna touch you in your little special place.
If there's one thing Penny's taught us, it's that you really cannot judge a book by its cover. That's The Take. Click here to watch a video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.